Okay, we're bringing the Board of Supervisors to order. Hello, try this one more time. Okay, I couldn't hear myself. Okay, there we go. The Board of Supervisors came out of closed session, and we added Addendum 1 to 3A. Under 1A, update was given. Confidential minutes, 2A was approved, and 3A, direction given to staff. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, the Republic for which is indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Public matters not on the agenda, discussion items only, no action to be taken. Any person may address the board at this time upon any subject within the jurisdiction of Amador County Board of Supervisors. However, any matter that requires action may be referred to staff and/or committee for a report, recommendation for possible action at a subsequent board meeting. Please note there's a 3-minute time limit. Any public comment? Zoom?
Thank you. We do have one comment via Zoom. Mr. Sanders, please go ahead when ready.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. This is Amador County Veteran Service Officer Terry Sanders. I'm glad to be here. And I'd just like to put a jab in for upcoming Veterans Day on Saturday, the November 11th. Remind everybody that we're having a parade downtown Jackson that kicks off at 10 a.m. And then following that parade, lunch provided at the Legion Hall.
Now I'll be driving the red Cadillac with the Grand Marshal.
Awesome. Thank you. That was it.
Anything else, sir?
Nope.
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Netto?
Yes, I'd like to address the tragic event in Ione the other day. First, I'd like to say I don't blame our judges. They have to obey the law. I blame what we put into society. I think we should bring back capital punishment. There's a time and a place for it, and we should bring that back and take care of some problems. Also, I'd like to have a moment of silence for the family that lost their mother and their loved one in Ione, this tragic event.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other, from the other supervisors? Okay. Go on to the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Under the consent agenda, we need to pull item 4I.
We don't need to, we can approve it with everything else. I'm just, we're replacing the invoice that was included in your packet with one that's a corrected version that actually includes sales tax. That was an error before, but it's pretty minor compared to the overall.
Okay. So we're not pulling 4I, we're just adjusting the information.
Correct.
We are adding addendum number 2 to be added to the consent agenda. So that was 2A addendum to 4L, Jackson Valley Fire Protection District. Approval of the following individual to Jackson Valley Fire Protection District of Directors, Mr. Patrick Thomas, for a 4-year term. Thompson, excuse me. Sorry.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Give me just one second. Anybody in the public want to say anything? Anybody on Zoom?
No, not at this time.
Okay, I will take that.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve with those, changes.
Second.
Okay. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are on to regular agenda, 3A. Administrative Agency Presentation and Adoption of Resolution celebrating and raising the awareness of National Adoption Day and Child in Foster Care in Amador County. Do we have anybody presenting on this?
Maybe.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. I'm Farrah Roberts, and I am the program manager for the Court-Appointed Special Advocates Program in Amador County.
Welcome.
And here to present today the idea of Adoption Day, which is a national recognition of children who are in foster care, who need loving and supportive families to take on the role of being their forever families once they've gone through the foster care systems and they're no longer able to return to their biological families. So the National Adoption Day was founded because sometimes, you know, through the process of the court system, things kind of get delayed, and it was to hopefully open up the court to be able to have more adoptions, and to also just let the community know that there are needs for children to have a forever home. We do have children in the waiting list here in Amador County looking for forever homes, and we're hoping that by just raising awareness that through many agencies in the area, we support children in foster care, but we also support families through adoption and then post-adoption. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the supervisors. Okay. Public? Zoom?
Not at this time.
Okay, I'll read the resolution. Resolution proclaiming November 16th, 2023 as Adoption Day in Amador County. Whereas Amador County recognizes the importance of giving children safe, loving, and permanent families through adoption, and whereas more than 113,000 children in the United States foster care system are waiting for permanent families. And whereas there are children in Amador County who are waiting for their permanent families, and whereas the Superior Court of Amador County will open its doors on November 16th, 2023 to finalize adoptions of local children and join other organizations to celebrate all adoptions. And whereas this effort, along with the similar celebrations in all 15 states, will offer children the chance to live with stable, loving families and encourage their dedicated individuals to make a powerful difference in the lives of children through foster care adoption. Therefore, be it resolved that by the Amador County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim that November 16th, 2023 be declared National Adoption Day in Amador County, and in doing so, invite all citizens to join in a nation effort to raise awareness about the importance of foster care adoption. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's the best part of being chair of the board. Okay, we'll on to 3B, presentation update on Meals on Wheels program by Chris Colton, Executive Director of Amador Senior Center.
Morning, Chris.
All right, good morning. It's good
Morning.
to see all of you this morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Thanks for having me here to sort of give you a little update on what's happening. I have one of the best jobs in the world, I truly do, to carry out these programs, and I am so grateful on behalf of the center for your support and ownership of this program by financially committing to it. I just want to review a few things about Meals on Wheels within Amador County for you to refamiliarize yourself with the program. Last year, we served 232 clients. Not every single one of those clients, of course, receives a meal every day, but they take advantage of the program based upon their need or what's happening. Some folks deal with hospital stays that then require them to have some assistance when they get home. So not all of these clients are everyday or sort of permanent clients, but sometimes occasional clients based upon need. We offer kind of two programs that run in parallel to each other. One is funded through the Older Americans Act, which that funding comes through the state of California, through the California Department of Aging, and then to Area 12 Agency on Aging. And then ultimately those contracts are decided by the agency for each county, and Amador Senior Center maintains the contract with Area 12 for Meals on Wheels. And that particular stream of funding requires that we present to our clients the opportunity to participate financially, and so they are given the opportunity to participate at $4 per meal, but no services are refused for an inability to pay. The second sort of parallel program that runs in conjunction with this program is our privately funded program, and it's for those that don't qualify for the Area 12 stream of funding, or they do not meet the criteria for the Area 12 stream of funding, yet need in some way assistance. And so we privately fund that through our own fundraising efforts and various streams of income to make that happen. And to help offset costs, we look for a maximum of a $7 contribution. So that's why you see a bit of a gamut there as far as a request for contribution based upon the streams of funding and the requirements that those streams maintain for us. Just to remind you again that this is a daily hot delivered meal, which I think makes this county a great place to retire and a great place to look to retire because of the support systems in place. And you're a part of making that happen as county supervisors in funding this program. Far too often, these programs in other counties are moving toward frozen foods. In Sacramento County and some of the larger outlying urban areas, the meals have gone toward frozen because of the inexpense of delivery systems versus a freshly prepared hot meal. If you can imagine the increasing personnel costs over the last 2 years, 3 years, the inflationary costs on food and fuel alone, those are all three big areas that hit us hard. And so it stands to reason that some entities and organizations other than ours would move toward a frozen delivery concept because it elongates time between delivery. But this is every day. Every day our clients see us, every day we interact with them, every day we can support them and connect them to other resources within the community, whether through government agencies like behavioral health or adult protective services, or through other nonprofit organizations within the community. So every day we have that opportunity to have that connection with them and to refer them. And that's why it's so important to maintain that hot meal delivered. The clients would also argue it's better food, I think, versus a frozen meal. The other thing that we offer through this program is pet support. We provide food and supplies to those pets through a different grant. None of the funds that the county produces for us or gives to us go toward our pet program. That is a separate funded program. I just want to make that clear to the community, but it is something we offer that ties in with this program very nicely because we don't want clients shortchanging their own health and nutrition to take care of their pets, and many might if it came down to it. So we want to make sure that the pets are taken care of alongside the client. And then we offer a peer visitor program too, where we provide a deeper social connection rather than just the daily through their driver, but a volunteer through the center will come and meet with them every other week or whatever schedule they work out with that client, just to provide the social connection, to sit and have a meal or chat with them at a longer period of time than what a driver can give. So that's one of the programs we offer as well as the welfare check every single day. So in the numbers that I'm about to show you, it's very easy, I think, to look at the numbers and think, okay, here are the amount of meals they delivered. And it's a wonderful thing to deliver that many meals, but I think what I want the county to see and our residents to see is that every single meal we deliver is all of these things as well. It's way more than just a hot meal. And so to kind of give you an overview of what we were able to do, I'm clicking, it's not going.
Point it at the projector.
Projector?
There you go.
Okay, so I went too far. All right, thank you for that tip. So for fiscal year 2022 through 23, which runs July 1st through June 30th, we delivered 7,562 meals. And for this fiscal year, quarter one, July 1st through September 30th. Oh, now it's jumping around again on me. Okay. So Q1 being July 1st through September 30th, we delivered 7,562 meals. And for Q1 this year, we delivered 9,191 meals. And again, that increase is made possible because of the funding the county provides alongside other revenue streams that we try to secure. So for fiscal year, which runs July 1st through June 30th, we were able to deliver for Q1, July 1 through September 30th, we were able to utilize 212 and a half volunteer hours. And unfortunately, I really expected when I was pulling these stats together to see that go up along with our meals, but it actually went down. And it's very unfortunate because every volunteer hour that is decreased toward the center means that we take on a greater burden when it comes to the personnel necessary to make this happen. So we had to use a greater number of personnel hours in Q1 this year than we did last year. And so I would implore anybody in the community who's interested in volunteering or looking for a way to serve to make an impact in this community. I will tell you this, every volunteer who gives of their time comes to me and says, when I'm thanking them profusely for volunteering, they all say, we get way more out of it than what we give. And so if any older adult out there, anybody who's got a car and willing to help, you will receive more from this program if you give of your time than you will give to a senior. And yet, it's very transformative for seniors' lives as well. But we saw a decrease down to 176.91 volunteer hours for this last quarter one of the fiscal year. So we'd love to see that number go in reverse as our meal deliveries go up. Now, this is the really exciting slide.
So what do the volunteers do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Supervisor. So our volunteers do everything from help in the kitchen to package the meals and prepare them for delivery to actually doing the delivery. And I think the most rewarding piece of it for people is actually doing the delivery service, packing the meals into the car, receiving a ledger of deliveries, and then executing those deliveries by going to clients' homes, learning their names, getting to know them, delivering the meal, having a 2 or 3 minute chat about the weather, about how they're doing, what other resources they might need, and then continuing on from there. So that's one way people can serve. And we have vehicles that people can use, but we're limited by vehicles. So sometimes a volunteer will use their own vehicle. And we tend to honor those volunteers either through a mileage reimbursement or a gas card if they choose to help offset expenses of volunteering.
I remember years back, you had one older lady, and she was just something else. I mean, you talk about having everything under control, and she was going 100 miles an hour, and she was something. She's wonderful.
She was definitely not going 100 miles an hour on county roads. That's prohibited.
No, I meant.
I know.
Figuratively speaking. I mean,
Yes, of course.
Chris, why do you think the volunteer hours went down? Because coming out of COVID, people going back to work, or what?
Well, what's surprisingly, Supervisor, is that the hours that I showed you in the prior quarter were post-COVID as well. So I don't think I would blame COVID. I couldn't tell you. I know that we have an ebb and flow of volunteers just based upon their own issues. I can tell you this, that the bulk of our volunteers are older adults themselves who take ownership of this program. And sometimes they have their own health issues or they have something that happens where they can't do it anymore.
hey, what time's lunch today? at the senior center.
At the center, it runs from 11:30 to 12:30, and that's our congregate program. It's a delicious meal.
And you gotta go on Rib Day. Rib Day is outstanding.
I'm just gonna challenge the rest of the board to go today if we get out in time. There it is, guys.
You're more than welcome to come. The last statistic there that I think is really impressive is this year, we're already, and this, when I say year to date, we're talking the end of October. So this doesn't include November or December numbers yet, of course, because they haven't come. But we delivered 31,000. So already this year, we delivered more than the entirety of last calendar year. So that's pretty impressive, and I think, again, speaks to the support that we so appreciate coming from all of you. And I would take it a step further, Supervisor Onetto, and invite each of you, if you would like to do a ride-along, we'd love to have you come. We'll put you in your district if you'd like, to meet some of your constituents who are on our program. And if you're able-bodied enough, our driver will take you, and you can walk up to the door and deliver that meal. I think it'd be really great for you to interact with some of the clients and see firsthand the investment that you're making and how worthwhile it is. So thank you for allowing me to present, and are there any further questions you might have for me?
I'd just like to say thanks. You know, seems like you're doing a really good job.
Yeah, no, I'd say the same. It seems like you're doing well over there. And I like animals and old people, and the others are okay.
What's your next
Little kids too, by the way.
area you're looking at for expansion? Do you go to River Pines and outlying areas, Comanche?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our expansion is related directly to our infrastructure and our funding, which is no surprise to you. However, we are committed to delivering in all of Amador County. We have clients in River Pines and Plymouth and some of those very outlying areas. And we do have clients, of course, in Pioneer and some of those deeper areas that tend to get a lot of snow. Last year was very exciting. I'm not looking forward to this year. But we do now have 2 delivery trucks that are 4-wheel drive, which we did not have access to last year. And so we're expecting to be able to be more successful at deliveries this year. But a lot of our clients last year, which was interesting, were surprised to see us when they saw how much snowfall had come down. But yes, to answer your question, we try to press into every area and we don't refuse service. We have clients out as far as Comanche as well that we serve.
Plus, last year, you had CHP helping you.
We did.
Deliver some meals.
You caught news of that, did you?
I did.
We have contacted different partners within the community to help us if there are road closures or if we have some sort of emergency, and we get clever about it. And I tell you, we're very grateful for the support of this community, because these programs wouldn't exist without the community's ownership through volunteerism, through coming through in a difficult time for us like the CHP did that one time. Yeah, it's nice to roll through blue and red lights. You can get there quicker.
Today at the Senior Center is stuffed shells with creamy pesto sauce, spinach salad, garlic green beans, banana, and garlic bread.
Excellent. And tomorrow is Rib Day.
And tomorrow's Rib Day.
You won't find parking, so I would park here at the county building and walk over.
What do you have that, Mr.
Are you serious?
Bookmarked?
What's
Yes,
that?
we
You have
ran out
that
of parking.
bookmarked?
I have it emailed. See,
Mr. Chairman, our Rotary Club members did one when they started the Pine Grove expansion. And one thing you didn't mention that I thought was very interesting, not so much that they got more out of it than the clients, but when they first went to the house, they found a lot of them in bathrobes and a little disheveled, and the newspaper laying around, and the more often they went, the house was picked up. And a lot of times the table was already set, and it just kind of improved their quality of life knowing that somebody was coming over, which is kind of a substandard but important thing. You know, maybe they took a shower that day and they noticed it right off, so.
Yes, and Supervisor Crew, you bring up a great point that, again, reiterating, we need the community support. Jackson Rotary has been a huge supporter of us, and actually, probably little known to the community, help us launch Pine Grove, as you said. We couldn't have gotten that off the ground without Jackson Rotary's help, just committing to driving for that period of time. We got it off the ground. It's one of our biggest delivery areas, as it's the largest concentration of older adults in Amador County. So it was an important region for us, and I want to thank Jackson Rotary, but it just goes to show without community partners, we couldn't do this. So as much as I'm grateful for sort of the praise you heap on me standing here for our accomplishments, it's really the accomplishment of our community. And and our Board of Supervisors in our county, again, making this a great place to live and retire.
Okay.
Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Thank you. Ms. Damiano, please go ahead when ready.
Yes, this is Lorraine Damiano from Public Authority. I want to thank you for everything you do, especially providing meals for our senior citizens. I do have one question, as I do have some volunteers that are interested. Is there a food handler certificate that's needed to help assist preparing the food and delivering?
So to answer your question, we have to maintain somebody in the kitchen with a food manager certificate, which we have. And then we have to put each volunteer who directly handles food through the food handler's certificate, which is different than the manager's. It's about a 2 to 3 hour course all online. And then a volunteer would also have to go through our quarterly training in how to handle food safely, alongside of some of the required training around document security, because when we deal with clients' medical and health related issues in regard to their intake forms, say they need a meal that is medically tailored, that's now medical information and becomes, we become HIPAA compliant. So there are some trainings that have to go around sort of HIPAA compliance and making sure that information is kept secure outside of just food handling.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and again, for everything that you do for our constituents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, anybody else on Zoom?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Action, I mean,
I move to accept the report and direct staff to release $30,000 currently in the budget for this Amador Senior Center.
Second.
okay. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for the report.
On to 3C, Environmental Health, update on the Micro Enterprise Home Kitchen Operations, MECO pilot program, and options on renewal.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Debbie Larson, Director of Environmental Health. The pilot program for the MECO Home Enterprise Kitchen Operations program is ending shortly, and we do have 2 microenterprise, we call MECO home kitchen operations in Amador County, and their permit is set to expire in December. So we're here to get direction from the board on whether to cease the program or expand it, or just continue as it is.
Have we had any complaints?
No, we haven't had any complaints, and we haven't had a lot of inquiries about it. But we do have one site that does have a violation right now that they're working to resolve.
Okay.
What is the violation?
It's for not testing water. They're
on a well.
They're on a well, and they need to do testing. So her test actually may have gone in last week, but we don't have the results yet.
There are 2 operations that are operating?
Mm-hmm. 2.
Okay.
One is very active on Facebook, and you can look up and see how, what kind of meals she's preparing. The other one doesn't have that presence on, at least we didn't see it on social media, but it's still operating and also operates a catering business, but the catering is out of a separate location.
Yeah, I was just curious, there's been no complaints, but well, are they operating? If they're operating that,
Yeah.
that's fine.
The one in Ione, it actually probably costs her money because she'll give food to people whether they can pay for it or not. So she's a very good person.
Yeah, and she's that operation seems to be running very well and very organized. MECO can be problematic. We can't necessarily, there's not the checks and balances as a regular restaurant. Things from an inappropriate source can come into that kitchen. The MECO, though, does have to have direct sales to the customer, so they can't sell it to, say, a store and then have them sell it. So, a consumer doesn't have to purchase that if they don't feel comfortable.
Okay.
It's different than cottage food. Cottage food is, non-potentially hazardous food prepared at the home. It doesn't have the same risk factor, whereas a Miko, there's really no limitation. And they can have seating, and your home can actually be a restaurant.
Yeah, they are
They're
having
little-
multiple people, but in a way, if you look at it from another aspect, it's not too much different than having a company come over for a meal. I mean, it's probably more
It could
multiple.
be 30 meals a day,
Yeah.
up to
Hey.
60 a week.
Back to, any public comment? Anybody on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Well, currently, we don't have any, that operate as a restaurant, is that correct? They prepare the food and then they go out in the field, so to speak, and distribute it from like a food truck or something?
From the home, they
Yeah.
actually, or they could do delivery.
Right, they do delivery now, so we don't really have like a situation where someone has people, because I guess
No,
that
we
could be a
don't.
problem, is the parking and, you know, that kind of situation.
And that's leading into kind of one of my thoughts for Greg. I think I remember the answer from last time, I just want to clarify it. So if we approve more and say it's somewhere down the road, these become a problem, the county can still pull them back, right?
So what I would say is if you issue a permit, and that's the way they are in the code, is they're annual permits. So if you issue a permit and it's an annual permit, and then sometime within that year, you decide you don't want to continue the program, you can stop the program. I think that permit gets to continue its year that you authorized, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't have an entitlement to go beyond. They'd have to reapply to renew it, but there wouldn't be a program, so they wouldn't be able
So
to.
if you ran into a real problem within a year's time or less, you could stop it.
Just stop that one kitchen, not the whole program.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you could enforce you could do it that way too.
Okay.
But the way the code is, the way the ordinance was written, there's currently a limit of 2.
Yes.
And it expires 18 months from when, it will expire 18 months automatically, from when it became effective, which was July 14th of 2022.
I wouldn't mind, expanding it some if there's no problems. I mean, I don't know how much demand you have for it, but.
We had an inquiry last week, but that was the second inquiry we've had in about a year.
Yeah.
So.
We could take the pilot to 4, leave it as a pilot.
You could leave it as a pilot, you could expand it and extend, sort of that automatic date, as a pilot, however long you want, another year, another 18 months.
Well, how about through the end of, 2024? So that we can just program it now, and if it's not problematic, we can come back and consider it next year to either leave it a pilot or make it a permanent program.
Right now, it's unclear exactly what action that the board has to take to extend it or expand it. So we're gonna assume that it's gonna have to be another ordinance. I'd like to change the wording so that we could extend it by resolution, make it a little bit easier.
That'd be fine.
So we'll bring back, an amendment to this ordinance to expand to 4 and expand the term.
End of 20.
Make the interim, December 31 or
As long as something.
2024.
Yeah.
Do we have any ability to, limit or constrain how the food is provided, or is this all state law?
I think the state law defines what a
Whatever.
micro enterprise kitchen is. You're either
Okay.
gonna allow it or not allow it.
Okay, so we can't say you can't have a restaurant in the middle of a neighborhood, you have to always just, distribute it. Okay,
You're either in or out.
okay.
But at only 30 meals, that's still not a whole huge amount.
Well, but that could be every day,
Right.
you know. I don't know.
60 meals max a week.
Oh, 60 meals.
60 max.
This is only in the unincorporated area, right?
No, I think it's countywide.
Yeah, it's countywide.
Oh, is it? So it would be in the cities too?
That's why the city managers are scared to death of it, so.
Mm-hmm.
It can be problematic.
It could be.
It could be, yeah, but right now, with the operations we have now, it hasn't been.
Okay.
Okay, is that,
Do we have a mechanism to, like, when there is a problem, that we can talk to these people and say, maybe you should
Well-
do things differently, or we may stop the program for everyone?
That's an interesting point, because if, say they want to do a barbecue business and they're up really early with their smoker right
Right.
next to the property line,
Yeah.
and that's allowed under the MECO, and can we restrict them from, yeah.
Well, what if it also, collides with, like a city ordinance, like no noises between, 10 o'clock at night and 6 in the morning?
That would be a city enforcement issue.
Okay, so the city would have
Yeah.
jurisdiction there, or?
It would. I don't know how it conflicts, but, I think, I can't recall. That question did come up, and I did look into it. I just don't remember what the conclusion was.
Okay.
I don't want to misspeak about what the rules are, but the city theoretically can still enforce its own ordinances.
Okay.
We wouldn't be able to override them.
Because it could be operating in a area that's zoned, residential and not commercial, so that it, they could be making a lot of noise in a place where noise isn't normally the occurrence. Okay.
Could we put something in the ordinance that they must comply with the appropriate zoning standards?
I can look, although I think the way the state program is set up, you either allow it, or you don't. You don't really get to make adjustments to what the state has set up as this micro enterprise home kitchen. And that's
Can be in a residential
and that's why the board
apartment even.
was concerned, these same concerns, and why you set it up as a pilot program, and you limited the numbers to see if there were going to be problems. So we can keep that going, and just expand it slightly.
Seems reasonable.
Okay, we'll bring it back.
okay, so, but direction of the staff right now is to, allow it to go for another, till December of 2024, and allowing up to 4, permits per year. Is that agreeable with the board? Okay, I got a whole bunch of heads shaking, so I guess that's where we go.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, code enforcement, discussion of possible action relative to adding reestablishment of the countywide abandoned vehicle abatement fee of $1 per registered vehicle to the March presidential primary or the November 2024 ballot.
Yes, Supervisors, this was on at the last meeting, and I was operating under an assumption, based on my discussions with, the code enforcement officer, that, anyway, what started this was Elections sent out a notice saying your deadline for the ballot for the, March primary is November something. And she said, we need to get this on, so the board can approve this. And when she drafted the resolution, which I still need to change a little bit, she put in November, 2024. the next general election. So I just wanted to get clarification on there's still time for the June primary election, or if you want it set for November, that's fine as well. It seems early to do it for November, and I was just so whatever the board's direction is.
It's the March primary this year.
Yeah, we have time for March, and that's what I thought, but the way it was, drafted and what the board approved was November. And so I didn't feel like I needed to bring that back for you guys, gentlemen, to decide, which ballot you wanted on.
You know, I guess one question I'd have, I don't know off the top of my head, which normally has a better success rate for passing items.
We're gonna have a better turnout in November. I felt like November was the better option.
I did too.
Supervisor Neto?
Can't we run it in March, and if it doesn't go, run it in November?
Negative. Just keep.
You could.
Yeah.
Could.
I think you're beating a dead horse. Yeah, sorry, I'm not supposed to use those kind of terms, but it's problematic to do that.
I think with the holidays.
I think it's problematic not to have them pass this, you know.
I agree with you, Supervisor Axe. But I think with the holidays, you'd have a tough time with the education factor, and that's what it's gonna take. Because they look at it, another tax, no. Unless they take the time to.
Well, why don't we park an abandoned vehicle in their front yard?
We've got one in Jackson now.
They'll learn real quick. They don't like it.
You see that in Jackson? We put flowers on an old truck and parked it out in the, welcome to Jackson.
Yeah,
I would propose we do this by consensus and go with November.
okay with November? Supervisor Crew, Neto?
I say keep running it until they pass it.
Right now, it's 4-1 consensus to run as November. The direction is given to staff.
I will edit that resolution that you passed at the last meeting for November. Well, it did say November, and I'll present that. There were some edits I wanted to make to.
Changes for next meeting.
Well, we have time now.
Okay.
So I could just bring it back. And we can put it on consent.
That didn't go to the public for Zoom?
No comments at this time.
Okay. Well, we'll go on to 3E, resolution authorizing the Waste Management Department to submit the SB 1383 Local Assistance Grant application.
Morning.
Morning.
Fast meeting. Jeff Gardner, Director of Solid Waste. We're here to get a resolution passed so we can put in our application for the grant, for the SB 1383 second round grant, and I'm going to let Mary discuss where we're at with that so far, and it's still kind of a moving target. We know how much money we want, and we know we need to get it in by the 15th, but we're still fine-tuning some of the categories in the grant. So I will let Mary discuss that.
Good morning.
Morning.
And thank you for having us here today. Amador County previously received a SB 1383 grant to start implementation of the organics diversion requirements. At that time, the grant was approximately $130,000. Each of the cities participated and pooled the money, each of the 5 cities, so it was a regional grant. Again, this is the second round for the SB 1383, but this time each of the jurisdictions qualifies for $75,000 for a total of $450,000. The cities have agreed to another regional grant application. And we anticipate that we will continue doing the public education and outreach. We will be improving capacity for the edible food recovery program with the Interfaith Food Bank. We're anticipating the first grant, we purchased a 10-by-20 freezer for them to put at their new site, their new warehouse site. This time, we're looking to purchase another delivery van, pickup and delivery van for them. But then the bulk of the money, what we're trying to do is to expand the composting throughout the county. We did backyard composting. We partnered with Master Gardeners and the Motherlode Land Trust. They did to put on some demonstrations for the public. We plan to enhance that, but in addition, we would like to again partner with them and develop a community compost site at the Motherlode Land Trust here in Jackson. In addition to that, we would like to then do satellite compost, community compost in each of the communities or communities that we can work with or who want to work with us. And we would also be trying to pull in other organizations such as FFA, the Boy Scouts, Lions Clubs, Rotary Clubs, to make it a community effort. The budget that you see in front of you is just the preliminary budget. I do anticipate before submitting it on the 15th that we'll have some other refinements, moving monies around. And once the budget is approved, we still can move things around. Actually, this CalRecycle grant is very flexible, provided that you meet their criteria for what it's used for. If you need to get their permission ahead of time or approval ahead of time, we can still move the budget around. And I would also like to point out that this is not a competitive grant. So provided that the criteria, we meet their criteria, Amador County will receive these monies.
Yeah, I have one question. I know all the cities have their green waste facility down there, and something they struggle with the state trying to get permitting and meet all that criteria. Will they have the same problems at this site, you think, as far as the permitting, or does it fly under the radar if it's smaller?
It is smaller, so it meets the criteria for a community compost site, and it would fly under the radar.
Okay. Otherwise, that could be a big problem for them.
Yes.
If you had community compost sites within the cities, would our provider, ACES, still be required to have a separate compost collection bin?
Currently, Amador County and its cities are exempt from the collection.
Oh, 2027, right?
Until 2027. Once 2020, at this point, we would have to start collections in 2027. However, we anticipate, I should say, it is anticipated that there will be new legislation coming forth this next year, especially in light of the Little Hoover Commission report that they were very critical of how CalRecycle is implementing this program. They do believe, and they recommended that the rural counties that currently receive the exemption for 5 years, they believe that the counties should be exempted from those requirements altogether. They also recommended that the edible food recovery program not be a part of this because it's already being done by other organizations in most all the jurisdictions. So we'll see what happens next year. It very well could be that when 2027 hits, you would be required to do the collection. And so we need to be cognizant of that as the time approaches. If the legislation does not come through next year, then I would say it's time to start planning. But hopefully, RCRC will be involved in that legislation, as well as other groups.
It might make sense to put it in a place where it's densely populated, but not, to make them, because there's some economy of scale. But if it's, more rural areas where it's not highly populated, then maybe it's not. I don't think it's worthwhile. I guess I'm a bit confused because it seems to me the purpose of the law is just to keep from filling up landfills, or I thought it was just to capture this stuff and keep it from decomposing into potentially greenhouse gases, methane in particular. And composting is pretty much gonna guarantee that, unless you put it in some kind of, sealed system.
They actually, CalRecycle has said that composting releases less greenhouse gases than the landfills. And they encourage composting. And I also would like to point out that they have never, CalRecycle, to my knowledge, has never evaluated what the transportation costs for our rural counties would, you know, generate in the way of greenhouse gases to try to get it to someplace where they could do it.
Yeah.
One of the things that the Environmental Services Joint Powers Authority from RCRC is considering is they're considering doing a regional grant with 1383 and having jurisdictions participate by donating some money to doing an actual greenhouse gas analysis for the rural areas to show whether or not it makes sense to do it.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, call for the motion.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a comment via Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Caller, if you could, please introduce yourself. Go ahead when ready.
Hi, my name is Kitty Applegar. I'm a new resident in the area. I just, to explain a bit further about the reasoning behind using composting to reduce greenhouse gases. The reason that edible or organic compounds, when put in the trash, produce methane is because of anaerobic. They are not exposed to oxygen. Therefore, the anaerobic microbes are what consumes them and produces the methane and the greenhouse gases. Composting, by contrast, exposes this material to oxygen, to open air, and actually sequesters carbon. And so it would actually be highly beneficial for greenhouse gas emissions, just for some context. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It makes sense.
If you don't have any place to use the compost.
Oh, there's a lot of places.
Well, that's a different problem.
Bring it to my house.
'Cause I don't do a garden, I don't do flowers.
I'll bring it to my house.
Well, we have a compost pile, and we've been putting stuff on it for years, and I don't think we've ever used the compost one.
It just turns into compost.
It
dirt.
just kind of
keeps
slowly,
getting smaller.
it keeps going down. It gets big, and then it,
Eventually, it smells like dirt, though.
yeah.
Well, the idea with taking it to the jurisdictions within the county would be to set up a composting, program, hopefully at their own community gardens.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be a good site, and then it would encourage people to do the composting there and bring that stuff there.
Okay,
Ready for an action?
yes, sir.
I would move to approve resolution authorizing the submittal of SB 1383 Local Assistance Grant Program Regional Application as the lead participant, related authorizations and identification of participating jurisdictions for which Amador County is eligible.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay,
Thanks, Mayor.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Appreciate the presentation. Review and possible approval of October 24th Board of Supervisor meeting minutes.
Move to approve the minutes with minor corrections I've already submitted to our board clerk.
Second.
Yeah, there's one of them. No, it's under discussion, under the regular agenda administrative agency, it looks like livestock grazing is mixed up with EID, so that's, like I said, that minor.
I saw that too, but I don't know, Heather, if you could look, thought I made a comment on that, but close to the end, isn't it?
Yeah. So it looks like something's missing somewhere in there, 'cause I think we have a bid on a grazing contract that board meeting. Yes, I think that's probably the part that's missing. So we just include that part, or like the grazing, and if you had I think it was that meeting when they had the open bid.
Oh, that was the prior meeting.
Was it the prior meeting?
We can take a look at it and, revise that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm okay with those revisions in.
Okay, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, November 21st, 9 a.m. Closed session begins at 8:30.